listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the AwardsWatch Podcast. I am your host, Ryan McQuade, executive editor of this wonderful website, and I am joined today by our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
Good morning. Well, it is here.
Oh, it is. Well, it's morning over here.
Is it though?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Not as morning as my morning.
Oh my God. Enough with you already. And Sophia Ciminello.
Hi, guys.
Hi. It's just us today. Everybody else is busy.
It's intimate. It's
very intimate. It's just the three of us.
Yeah.
It's
a fireside chat.
It really is. It's going to be just a big ASMR.
Hello, welcome. Yeah, we talked about this last week because Erik and I are just coming off of the Hollywood Critics Association Television Awards, and we spent a lot of time together, regrettably, and and we were just like, what if we did a podcast, ASMR, welcome to the AwardsWatch Podcast, and it just got softer and softer as the episodes went on. But anyway, by the way, just gotta shout out the HCA Awards. I thought they went really well and went pretty smoothly. Don't you agree, Erik? Erik was a present. Was it Smash? We were playing that game the whole time.
Yes, it did, and yes, it was fun to present.
He was, of course, extra, but that's Erik.
I don't know if it was extra.
Hey,
but okay, yeah, except for that part. But it may be extra in other terms, but like for me, it was pretty.
It was on par.
That was pretty Erik.
Yeah, the outfit too. You rocked it.
I did. I looked amazing.
You did. Love the red shoes.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the red boots. By the end of the night, Erik was just a little inside baseball. Erik was so uncomfortable in those shoes and drunk that he had to take them off and was like walking around the Beverly Hilton barefoot, and then he forgot his phone downstairs. So then he had to like run barefoot, and it was I was afraid you were going to trip there, in the hallway down in the stairs. It was hilarious.
Ryan, I love the way that you're just absolutely just destroying the fire by pouring all of my fucking tea all over it.
Well,
awesome.
I mean,
I was going to say it sounds like you guys are recreating the movie The Red Shoes. You just died and fell out of your shoes, and
there you go.
They kept going.
See, that's how I'm looking at it. Exactly like that. Or, a little bit of Wicked Witch. There was a little bit of Wicked Witch in there.
Yeah, there was a little Wicked Witch energy going on for sure.
But
more like Wicked Bitch. Anyway, it was a fun weekend, and we also went to the Academy Museum, and we got to meet a lot of friends and writers, and it was just in talent and stuff. And we will have next week for episode 150 our final Emmy predictions with Tyler Doster, our TV editor. And so it felt kind of like right. It was like, okay, we're right in towards the end of Emmy season, and that'll be done, and then we can focus on what we're here to do today, which is talk about the pre-festival stuff or the festival stuff, because in like less than 2 weeks now, Erik and I will be reuniting up at Telluride, and then a bunch of our other writers will be with Erik the following week at TIFF. So this is something I thought we could do this week, is talk about our top 10 predictions for Best Picture going into the fall festivals. Kind of get the it's always good to do these right now and feel like where the race is at, and then see how completely right or completely wrong we were by the end of the race. And I know that our other writers and our other podcasters were going to try to come on and do this, and I know they have thoughts, and they'll talk about that over the next coming weeks. But we're all going to be here. Erik's already done a piece on this, but I would like him to explain some of those. So what we're going to kind of do is have just a general discussion over these things. We don't have to do them like in ranked order, but we will do the ranking by the end. But I'm kind of just curious from Sophia's angle first. I'll go with her. Is where you see the race going right now. I mean, it seems like there's always a front runner, like right up at the top. Everybody has a consensus front runner. Do you agree that that as of right now, the Fabelmans is that kind of front runner for everyone?
Like, I'm tempted to say yes, but that's also just kind of boring to me. Like, I understand that, but it's an autobiographical piece by a director that, yes, is so important to American filmmaking, but we've awarded him before. So I want to just kind of spice it up always at this point. So I'm always tempted to go with something a little bit more unique at this point, because why not? No one has seen anything. But The Fabelmans does feel sort of undeniable at this point as a front runner, just because Spielberg has never been to TIFF before, and that just feels like a huge deal. So at this point, when we haven't seen much yet, like, I am on board, I think right now, saying that is the front runner. But I am worried about how long it can sustain front runner status if it does win People's Choice at TIFF, or it does kind of peak early and then other things come out, at later festivals or at a better time and might feel more timely or worth rewarding compared to this.
Yeah. I mean, Erik, the movie comes out in November, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll have TIFF. Maybe it lands at maybe it's a couple smaller film festivals along the way in October. We don't know. It's not going to New York because they've announced pretty much their full slate already. So just being a TIFF bow, that's a very interesting move for it. There's a lot of interesting moves. Like, I was listening to some people talk the other day, and on Twitter, and they were just talking about how there's a lot of it doesn't seem like there's a lot of films going every single place this year, right? I mean, we have films that are going to Venice and then maybe going to Toronto, or we know about the ones that are going specifically right now, kind of, piecing it all together to Telluride. And then there's some US premieres at places that aren't New York. Like this week we found out about Fantastic Fest. They're getting the US premieres of Triangle of Sadness and Decision to Leave and Banshees of Inisherin and all those different, those kinds of films, which usually would premiere and wait for New York. And so it's interesting that those movies are getting out and in front already. How do you see the landscape? I mean, you right now have The Fabelmans. You're with everybody in the consensus right now, Erik. So do you agree with Sophia? It's kind of undeniable at this point, or do you see something else that you could possibly move up there at the
I don't
number
think
one spot
anything's
right now?
undeniable. I wouldn't want to say that on the eve of
Well,
festivals.
it's an undeniable consensus front runner by most people right now.
No, yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of, not everybody, but a lot of people are coalescing around it, but I don't want to call anything an
Oh, it's not
undeniable.
undeniable in terms of like it's going to win and we think it's going to win. But like in terms of everybody is looking right now, because this happens every year. It's like
Mhm.
Mank,
It has to happen.
or
It has to
or what
happen.
was
This
it?
is
What
this
was
how
it
we
last
start.
year? What was it last year? Everybody had something.
Well, last year it was like Belfast.
It was
though, and
Belfast.
that's what always
Belfast.
worries me. It's like
Yeah.
that
And
ended up not
Is this
going
what
many
is
places.
is the Fabelmans black and white too?
it is not, thankfully.
Okay.
No.
That would kind
but-
of not make sense for him because he.
But there's
lives in the
there's
Technicolor.
obviously going to be many people, and they already have, that are saying, oh, it's Spielberg's Belfast and Spielberg's Roma. And you use those turns of phrases not as compliments, but as absolute pejoratives. There's almost nothing nice when you say those kinds of comparisons the way that people say them. And it's kind of weird. But what I'll say about that is that Spielberg is certainly on a different level than Brana or Cuarón in terms of the industry and in terms of Oscars. He just is.
Well,
And I think it kind of just puts him in a slightly different place. I do think that the TIFF bow is pretty extraordinary, but then yes, not really being at another major is a little odd. I think it will hit multiple regional fests the way that Roma and Belfast did.
Yeah. I mean,
And Green Book, for that matter. Green Book did the same thing. They started at TIFF. They didn't do major festivals, but they were at every damn little festival in the country until November.
Yeah.
And that is a great way to build that type of support. But Fabelmans is a big movie from a big director. Does it need that? I don't know.
I don't think it does, but I mean, last year obviously he had West Side Story, and it did fine. It won obviously supporting actress, and it did kind of like okay. I think with nominations. I think some people thought it underperformed. Some people thought because of all the rumors and speculation going into the Oscar nomination morning that it could underperform even worse than it did, and I think it just did kind of fine. And now we're kind of building off of that momentum of that movie being pretty, well acclaimed, and people going, "Oh, he didn't screw it up." And now this is a more personal piece, and him coming back into it, and he is, not trying to throw Mr. Spielberg under the bus, but he is a little older in age, and it's kind of how many more times you're going to be able to celebrate him and celebrate his achievement and his legacy towards cinema, which is a huge thing. It's kind of the same thing we say about Martin Scorsese all the time. It's like, how many more times are we going to be able to award these two giants, these two pillars of the industry, to the greatest living directors, not just of this time, but of all time? And so I can see why everybody has him in this film at sort of number one or in the director spot, and we're not talking about director, but obviously he's like the consensus right now, sort of front runner for best director. But for me, I don't have the film at number one in my predictions going into the fall festival. So I have to be the contrarian around here, but I am curious about a couple other films. And I'll start with you, Eric, is that every year there's one studio that seems to be the most hungry to want to win Best Picture. And that, of course, is Netflix. So they've got a couple of films in the Best Picture race. And of course, one of those is the new Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu film, Bardo. How do you see this one playing out? I know that we've heard some things, we've heard some not so great things, but obviously they love Iñárritu. Like, where do you see this in terms of your rankings and stuff currently in the race?
Well, I currently have it at number 2.
I didn't even. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's because of whatever happens with Killers of the Flower Moon. But still, it would be like 2 or 3.
Which, I mean, if that movie, not to cut you off, Eric, but if Killers comes out, that changes this race in this whole entire conversation, right? Because that's another juggernaut that we're missing.
Because you've got these pillars,
right?
In
you got these two best friends fighting each other for all the tech categories and acting categories and everything, right?
And I think as viewers and all that, we kind of want to see that, just as not being a part of it. It's great to watch battles from the outside and not on the front lines.
Yeah.
But either way, so working on the idea that Killers is not coming out. Yeah, Bardo, I feel like should be a 2 or 3 for most people. We do know how hungry Netflix is, but they have definitely finally kind of begun licking their wounds about how they do their festival releases. And festival releases for Netflix films make sense because they don't get these big theatrical releases and get to have that kind of attention and box office articles and all of that. So The Power of the Dog, Roma, all these movies going to every single festival possible is the way that they stay in the conversation. But at the same time, and I think we've discussed it, and I think I wrote it, each fall has started to feel like the Netflix Film Festival now, where you're just seeing their stuff over and over and over again, at whether it's at Venice or Savannah or whatever, Oklahoma. It's all these Netflix films. And I think they have finally kind of learned, because Bardo is not going to TIFF. It's going to be at Telluride in Venice. It will hit smaller fests. So it's not doing the majors. All the majors, which I think is really refreshing. White Noise isn't either. White Noise is taking a different path as well. And
Venice and New York.
I think it is the right choice. I think it's going to give the organic nature of discovery that Netflix films need to have to win, rather than voters and viewers being told, here is the movie. This is the one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I mean, Power was everywhere last year. Roma was everywhere. we obviously 2020 we didn't really have anything in terms of online. I don't even think Trial or Mank made any of the virtual festivals. Their focus was more like on even Ma Rainey too didn't really play a lot of those festivals online, so they really kind of kept it more in-house. But yeah, I mean, the Lost Daughter was everywhere last year, and I'm missing something else from last year. It was Power and Lost Daughter.
But look how that played out. Mank
yeah.
won 2, Ma Rainey won 2,
Power won 1,
and they did it without being overwhelmed by festivals.
No, that was actually, in terms of their run, their best year across the board. And I mean, even like having the surprise, and I know Josh Parham's not here, so he can't moan and groan about it, but the surprise cinematography win, like those are wins that you're like, wow, we didn't even expect that to win.
You mean disgusting cinematography?
It's a wonderful cinematography win. How dare you?
I wouldn't call it wonderful.
I love that win. I love that win because I love that movie. Where's that 4K Criterion release, right? Coming off the Power of the Dog.
Hopefully in the dustbin.
No, it's gonna happen sooner rather than later. It will. But yeah, I'm curious to see how Bardo lands. If it's more of just an Iñárritu, technical achievement, or if it's an across the board kind of contender. It seems a little bit more scaled down. We've heard that it's a comedy, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting about it. Kind of more of a Birdman route.
A little unexpected.
But we'll see.
Again, I think is a really good thing, because the thing about Netflix movies too, their big Oscar pushes, is how deadly serious they are. And they are great and wonderful films, but they can sometimes sap the joy of something, where that's why other films can kind of whittle their way in there and take over.
Well, what's also like joyous about it is not only just maybe the comedy of Bardo, and it'll probably be a dark comedy, is on the other end of the spectrum, they have Glass Onion. And supposedly,
you took the words out of my mouth.
I knew. I was just going to say, Sophia, do you want to talk about Glass Onion real quick and your expectations for that?
Yeah. So I think I am not a fan of Iñárritu, and it would be so ironic for me as an Oscar watcher to support all of these Netflix movies year after year for them to not win, and then for it to finally be Bardo to be the one to do it, because he's made me sad at so many Oscar ceremonies in the past with The Revenant and Birdman. So I do have Bardo very high. I feel like you just have to when he makes a movie, and it being a Netflix movie. But when you look at the other contenders from Netflix, White Noise and Blonde just feel polarizing already. I mean, considering the source material for both of those, I can just already anticipate the discourse coming, people not understanding, the intentions of the filmmakers, that kind of thing. And that is never what you want to see for the Oscar race. Like if you're picking best picture predictions, but then they have this unique other little movie, which was such, Knives Out was such a surprise, and people loved it, getting that screenplay nomination. And I think if anything really is going to give The Fabelmans a run for its money for TIFF People's Choice, it can really be Glass Onion. And this then could shoot up. This is how everything changes, I think, with the festivals. This could shoot up in the awards conversation, and Netflix could say, okay, well, critics love White Noise, maybe, but what about Glass Onion? The people really loved this movie, and it has stars. It's very buzzy, and I can see it cracking its way into other award ceremonies throughout the year too, like SAG Ensemble, maybe like an odd BAFTA nomination for Daniel Craig, something like that. So yeah, I could definitely see it being a big player for Netflix, depending on how it plays at TIFF.
I mean, you're also talking about SAG Ensemble, a possible PGA nomination.
Like the first one.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but, and Eric, you've heard the same thing, nothing but glowing remarks for Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
And how she's kind of had the Ana de
She's
Armas
the breakout
role.
of it.
Yeah, she's the breakout, like Ana de Armas was in that. And then of course, I mean, you look at this ensemble of just these great actors, and I love that even it's such a stacked lineup for that film that Ethan Hawke, who we all assume is the person that gets, I think, murdered in the film from what we've all read about, it's not even listed. He's like, it's like an off, and that's how deep this movie runs. It's in. So I also love how these movies come out like every year. The Brana ones come out, and these are the better films. So I am curious about that because you're right. The audience award, I mean, people love Knives Out. They still love Knives Out. I mean, we talk about it all the time. And it's one of those where I could see it, yes, beating The Fabelmans. And then it releases, though, 2 weeks later in theater, limited theater run. And then, of course, I think later in October on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. So it would have to carry itself. But, oh, total Golden Globes play, because now we can talk about, because like the last episode or wherever we were on, we were speculating about the Golden Globes, and then it's kind of still up in the air about whether it's going to happen or not, but we're kind of in the feeling that it's most likely going to happen. They just need to fully 100% announce that as well. But a Golden Globe nomination for like just like that first film, because I believe it landed actor, actress, and the film, so that's on the table there for Knives Out as well. But I'm curious.
Well,
also,
I mean, I popped it into my top 10 for
well,
August.
I didn't ask about that, so thank you for
I'm,
that.
I'm telling you, 'cause
no,
that's
I'm
what we're
kidding.
talking
Yeah, no,
about.
you did put that in your 10.
But
Yeah.
you know, we do have to be realistic too, that the first film got very close to Best Picture, and it did get that screenplay and PGA nomination because it was such a huge breakout box office hit. This is not going to be able to enjoy the same fruits of that. Like I mentioned before, you're just not going to be any Forbes articles about the huge box office of Glass Onion. Those aren't going to be headlines that the movie's going to
True.
get to ride on. So it will have a slightly extended box office release. So will Bardo. It might not be as much as had been talked about before. I believe as of, we're recording this on Sunday, Monday, I believe, there will be more detailed information about the release of Glass Onion.
Yes. I mean, we don't even have like a real actual trailer, but maybe by the time this comes out,
we'll have release date information
we'll have some
by the time you're listening to this.
And if not, then we can blame Eric on it. Watch, he just waits till the release and then he releases the episode. But Glass Onion brings up an interesting, I think, tidbit about what I've seen through not just your pieces, Eric, but through all of our friends and colleagues that write about the award season. Is there seems to be the consensus that we're going to have something popular in this conversation. Popular, very popular. You know what I mean? And some even have multiple films.
Calm down, Wicked.
I was just gonna say, are you gonna start singing Popular?
Yes,
Please
I am.
don't.
No, I don't like
No.
Wicked. Thank you very much.
We don't have time for that.
So we don't have time for that. But there is Glass Onion, and that seems to be the one from the fall. There's even the Avatar of it all, which I don't think will happen. But the first half of the year, we've had at least 3-4 films that people consider that to be the case. So I know, Eric, you have Glass Onion in there right now, and you have one of the films that I think a lot of people online and has been a success this year, and that is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then you're a little lower on another film that has lost you and Sophia the movie draft most likely, and that is Top Gun Maverick.
Rude.
And then of course there's the Elvis of it all. Elvis was a huge hit. So I'm going to ask Sophia, do you see any of those films currently right now breaking, or do you have any of those films in your 10?
I do. So Ryan, you're going to hate this. I actually have Elvis at 10, and that's because I think that if you're considering Austin Butler for actor, you have to consider it for picture, but also I could see it having a similar scenario playing out like Nightmare Alley, where it just gets quite a few tech nominations, costume design, production design, where people are just looking at it more seriously. Nightmare Alley isn't a perfect comparison because that was Guillermo del Toro's follow-up, of course, to Shape of Water, but it's very popular. And I do think a certain group in the Academy, specifically older voters, love this movie. People who grew up with Elvis love this movie. And I can, with 10 spots without that sliding scale, I could see it cracking in. So that's why I have it at 10 right now.
Eric?
I have like all of the box office-y populist stuff outside of Everything Everywhere All at Once. in my 11 to 20 spots, because I've got Elvis at 11, Top Gun at 18, Avatar at 15, Black Panther at 19. Those are all bubbling under because they could all happen in some form or another, but people are really like online obsessed with the idea that this is just going to look like,
the MTV Movie
a
Awards,
Box Office Mojo MTV Awards ending of all of this. And I'm like, okay, good luck. But it's the end of August.
Yeah.
The top 10 I have outside of Everything Everywhere are very fall festival
friendly,
flavored. So once those happen, once we see those things, we'll have obviously a better eye about, oh my gosh, wow, the Sun isn't really doing as well maybe as we thought that it was going to, because we thought it was going to do great because of The Father. So all those things will start moving. But I'm not, I don't know. I'm still not on the Top Gun train. And if I'm late to the train, that's fine. I don't really
hates
care.
the film.
I don't hate the film. I love the film.
It,
but it's just people are so obsessed with the idea of its box office being the controlling factor. And that's not how it is. It just isn't.
It's not. But I will say this about it, and is that's a movie that really everyone's seen. Like some of these films, you got to come down to it at the end of the day and be like, everyone's seen this film. Everyone's talking about it. It's the buzz of everything. I mean, it's still making money. They haven't even released it on VOD at this point. Most of the films that we talked about that were box office hits, they were already on VOD. Paramount's played a really smart strategy. Now the problem is that they have
Tom Cruise has played the strategy. Paramount just has bended to his will. Paramount has nothing.
And it was a smart thing to bend to.
I'm not saying it isn't.
But we gotta give a small king his credit, right? You know what I mean? So there you go. But
the term is short king.
King. Well, when you're tall, and you're up here, everybody. Anyway, but I just gotta say this about it is that Paramount, the things that have worried me, and I've talked to Sophia and I've talked to you, Erik, about it, is the fact that Paramount themselves have an enormous task, which they have Babylon coming out this year. And they have something else?
If that's a real movie.
If that's a
yeah, what is Babylon? Because Chazelle movies always go to Venice or have this extended festival run.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like a picture. How about that?
I like a real poster.
Anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is most of these films, we don't have nothing but a picture or a plot description or something. Everything's being kept very close to the chest with a lot of these fall festivals. I mean, even for like the Fablemans, we have like set photos that we've kind of seen in like them just walking off set with like Michelle Williams and I think like Paul Dano and Seth Rogen. We don't even have like an official poster for those things. And I think that those will come obviously after they premiere at the fall festivals. But yeah, Babylon is something. Don't they have another film too, Erik? Paramount that they're running.
Well, they have Killers of the Flower Moon. They are the distributor for Apple.
Exactly. So they could have a busy season if that movie comes out. If Babylon is a success, that could potentially hurt Top Gun. Plus, also too, and I'm not trying to be mean, I love the Mission Impossible films, and I've always thought that those films should get tech nominations and be a tech player and stuff like that. Those movies have never been that. Not even close. And they're fantastic movies and people love them. Now they're not to the box office success of Top Gun, but it's
a little different.
It's a little maybe Tom Cruise bias?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think somewhat, but I do think that the thing to consider with Top Gun Maverick is just that we've never had like a Mission Impossible movie come out like in a certain stage of the pandemic. Yes, we are still in it where people are going back to theaters. And this is the movie that brought people back to theaters from all generations. And I do think like that can matter. Maybe it just matters at PGA. Like that's also a very, very likely scenario, I think. But I think it's very different from a Mission Impossible film or even like another action movie like that stars Tom Cruise, just because it's still the movie that everyone is talking about, and why I think the Academy this year, they're not going to want to reward a streaming service again.
Yeah. But I also think, I mean, like that's the big thing is just usually the pendulum swings against what won before, you know what I mean? And it comes back. And so I think you're right, Sophia, like the streaming service won last year. I think it might not happen again this year, but you never know because the season's long. I mean, we're not going to have the Oscars until mid-March or like mid to late March again. So there's plenty of time for narratives and things to change because at the time when, this ceremony was happening last year, we all thought it was going to be Power at the top of the nominations and then swing, but we don't have to talk about that because that's another conversation for another time. But we haven't talked about a couple of films real quick, which are something like Empire Light, which is Sam Mendes follow-up, and Erik's face there. You looked kind of like, oh, Empire Light. We gotta talk about that.
I was rolling my eyes at what you said before. So now we're talking about some good stuff.
Oh, okay.
Stuff,
all right.
So, yeah.
So Empire Light, it's Sam Mendes is getting the honorary TIFF for director award, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So tribute, yes. So how does everybody feel about it? And it's the follow-up to 1917, obviously. Mendes has done well. Most of his films have done really well, especially I think also too we can lock it. I wouldn't say lock in, but keep an eye on many of his technical achievements. Most of his films get tech nominations, especially like Skyfall and in 1917 and even Road to Perdition. So how do we see this one playing out based off the fact that it's got everyone's favorite Olivia Colman in it too?
I mean, if you have Olivia Colman and Roger Deakins attached to your movie, it's a big deal.
Sign you up, right?
I'm sorry, but yeah.
It's like in the 80s, it's about like a small cinema house, right? It's like on the heartstrings.
Period film. You could get costumes, lots of other technical awards for sure. I do think, like Erik was saying for The Fabelmans, it could be Sam Mendes's Belfast or Roma, like that term will be thrown around again, whether it's pejorative or a way to praise the film. I feel like that we will see that with this one. Mm-hmm. I don't have it as high on my list as The Fabelmans, but considering the director tribute and that he is somewhat of an awards magnet, I have to, I think at this stage, really consider it and put it in. It's not at the top of my list of films that I'm like, ooh, I need to see Empire of Light right away, but definitely one that I have in my top 10 right now.
Yeah. Erik, you have it in the top 10 as well, correct?
Yeah, I put it's at number 6, so it's gone up from last month.
Right. Yeah.
It's also Searchlight, right?
It's Searchlight.
It's Searchlight.
They got Banshees.
But
I think Empire of Light will be their number 1. That's not even.
Not even close.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's gonna have a good festival run too. Venice, Telluride. I think it's TIFF. It's a good.
It's
run.
playing all of them. It's a good smart move for them. Yeah.
It's close. There's only one movie that's playing all 4 fests that we know of right now.
And which one's that?
The Beauty and the Bloodshed.
Yeah, that's right.
The Loyal Boytress documentary. It's crazy. We usually have like 4 movies that do it. We have 1 this year.
Yeah, that we know of.
Confused. It's so confusing.
But let's talk about some films that we haven't talked about, which is Women Talking. This is Sarah Polley's film that has the backing of Plan B and Frances McDormand. So just like people that are magnetized to Oscar wins and Best Picture wins. I know that this is a lot of people have put this towards their top 5 and people have a big eye on it. I think it is premiering at Telluride, if I'm not mistaken, supposedly. Yeah. So I'm curious what you guys think of this film. Obviously, hard subject matter, but a very important subject matter in this ensemble that they've put together. My God. How do you guys see this playing out right now?
I'm so excited to see it. If I could, will a movie into my top spot, it would be Women Talking, because I love Sarah Polley and I think this ensemble has the potential to just blow us away. I loved this book as well. The subject matter is very, very tough. Like these women dealing with these sexual assaults in their community, like by the men specifically in their community. And I do think the interesting thing here about this is that, yes, sure, we could have, the conversations that are around, oh, this movie is too dark or too sad for me. I want something happy. But we are in another like really difficult time in our country with Roe v. Wade, and we have midterms coming up, and like the assault on women in the states like continues. And I think that people could feel good about voting for this movie and supporting it. And that's always something that we have to consider. And Plan B as well is a great company to have behind you.
Mm-hmm. I think of Sarah Polley though as a director that does find a lot of empathy in her films. And takes some dark subject matters. I mean, Stories We Tell is a documentary that is very personal and very raw, and yet there's a lot of sentimentality in there, and a lot of a lot of forgiveness and a lot of understanding its subject matter. And I think that's why she's such a fantastic director, and it's a very good move. I think to have her behind this, because I think that she's going to balance out what I've heard to be a harsh book in these accounts. And I think that she'll be the breakout, obviously, this year. I mean, she's been a known entity, but in terms of the awards race, she'll be a breakout. And I think that, man, this ensemble, you're talking about Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, Frances, Ben Whishaw, maybe some actresses that we don't know of yet. Jessie Buckley, that's right. I almost forgot the Buckley of it all.
I think she might be the one too.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about that today, but
no, I agree. I think that her coming off her Lost Daughter nomination last year puts her on the map and everything for it. But yeah, I think that's one to look out for. Obviously, She Said as well is another one to look out for in terms of being these very important issue films right now that could. We've seen sort of similar films like them before, but they could hit right at the right time and be those that I think are very important. I wanted to go back onto something we were talking about in the populist thing, and we didn't get to really get into it because Sophia said she had Elvis, but I did not hear the words, I have everything everywhere all at once in my top 10. And I'm curious if you do have that in there, because I know that is the movie everyone everywhere all at once is talking about in terms of getting in there. Erica, I think it's at your number 5, if I'm not mistaken, right now in your current predictions. Sophia, do you have that in your 10 right now?
I do. It took me so long to put it in my 10, honestly, because I'm going to confess I did not love the movie. And so it just took me a little bit longer to get on board with the idea of this like being a movie that gets into the picture 10, especially because there was that cynical part of me that thought like, this is too much. It's sincerely everything everywhere all at once. And for a movie that I think feels really long, and I kept thinking, okay, are the Academy members really going to put a movie with hot dog fingers in the picture 10? Like that kind of, stopped me a little bit. But the more I keep hearing from people specifically in the industry talking about how it's their favorite movie of the year, and Jodie Foster saying it's her favorite movie of like the past 20 years or something like that. When you hear stories like that, they add up. And I do feel like if people in the industry continue to support it, like it will get in. I think what I'm waiting for this movie is not just to see how the other movies perform at festivals, but how critics back it. Because I do think if there's a critical consensus come New York, LA, that can push it in. It needs something like that, I think. And it needs A24's focus. That's another thing altogether it's lower in my list though. Like I'm not one of those people who's like, this is definitely getting in, the Daniels are getting in, screenplay, editing, all of the above. Like I'm not there, but I do have it in now.
They just got to send like butt plug swag to critics.
Oh my God.
And it's in. It's good to go.
By that same notion, I mean, like if you have The Whale in, it's probably because you have Brendan Fraser in your top spot. And Eric, you have, as of the time I'm recording this, your actress piece, you have Michelle Yeoh in there as number 1. So
I did move her up. Yes,
you did move her up to number 1.
It felt so late, and it was weird. And of course, people were asking me, "Well, wait, why did you move Margot Robbie down? What have you heard?" And I'm just like, "Stop being so accusatory. It's not that complicated."
Oh, she is sustained since March in pieces.
That was my whole thing. That was my whole argument. Is that and I was with Sophia, not in how I felt about the movie, but how I felt that it would be able to do. And like, this is a March movie from May 24. Yes, it's made $100 billion, but is it going to sustain all the way through as we get into these, air quote, important movies in the fall?
Mhm.
And it hasn't missed a beat so far. It's ending, August with as strong a campaign as it could possibly have, mostly for Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah,
she can push and power her way through. Maybe not everything else, but she will, I think. And that could be enough to carry the movie as well.
Okay. I am still not convinced. And I think that the film, I really like the film a lot. And I mean, I wrote the review out of South by Southwest. That was an insane night, an insane crowd. Best way to ever watch that film is with a crowd. I really think it's ambitious, and I think like a screenplay nomination is right on the table. And I think obviously her for Best Actress is there. I just have a problem trying to see with all these other players as of right now where it lands on the tech side. I know everyone's going to go, well, Coda with the text. And I'm like, no, this is a different sort of thing. It's a different beast. And I do think they have The Whale coming out, which, that's a film that you could see getting tech nominations, especially, for makeup and for a couple of other things there too. Editing as well. And so I see that film being a more across the board contender, and we have to see how the reception is to that film, if there's any controversies or there's any backlash to it or whatsoever.
There will be,
and how Aronofsky talks about it as well. That'll be a whole nother beast to go with it. But
yeah, I can't wait for those.
Let me explain to you The Whale.
Lack of thinking pieces.
But I think that's
so problematic.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm 20 years old and I've never seen another movie before.
Oh my God.
I've only heard about this and I'm really troubled by it. Fuck off.
So I will say that's and I do agree, Sophia. I think that we haven't seen all these other films yet. So it's very, and like right now, obviously it would be in, if like Oscar nominations were tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, it's it. But there's so many other films and there's so many other avenues that could come into play. We haven't even talked about, and this was the last thing I wanted to do before we did our rankings, which is foreign films. And because of the fact that is a big part of this Academy now. It is a proven thing now that we are going to have foreign directors, if not with an expanded 10 lineup, we could have the foreign films. We could have multiple foreign films in there because of the fact that, Roma got in there, and then obviously Drive My Car got in there last year. Parasite won Best Picture. You have, I think Cold War was right on the cusp in 2018 as well. And, now we have, there's films like Broker, there's films like Decision to Leave, Triangle of Sadness, even though that's English language, it still comes from a foreign director. There's even some people, and I don't think this will happen, not in a million years, but you never know, is that the global sensation of RRR is out there as well. There's foreign cinema's done pretty well. I know both of you are giving me that look, but it's just the truth.
Do you mean to say international rather than foreign, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. International. I know they changed it, but I will say, do y'all have anything in your top 10s currently for international feature breaking in to the lineup? Eric, that's not good. I don't think that's good.
Close, but I don't. But again, a lot of my top 10 can probably fall out and move around.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got Decision to Leave at 12. I have Broker really fell down to 20 because, it's, even though it's neon, it's not going to be, Korea's international.
It could be Japan's.
It could be, but
that would be
highly
unlikely. But you never know.
Highly unlikely.
If it happened, it'd be great, because then we get to see those two films go head to head, Decision to Leave and Broker. But Sophia?
Yeah, I really want to, especially with Decision to Leave. I'm waiting to see how that does at other festivals and how critics like latch onto it, specifically with Park Chan-wook for director. I would absolutely love that to happen, but I feel like that itself is more likely, like him just getting in and it getting into international feature than the movie getting into picture. I haven't seen it. I cannot wait to see it, but you know, it's a genre film, and I don't know how well a thriller can do getting into the picture 10. I think with international features, so even though it's English language, I do have my eye on Triangle of Sadness. Absolutely. I almost put that in my 10, and I probably should, but I'm waiting to see it. It's rising up in the ranks right now for me. And I feel like a satire, a social commentary, they love these. And we've seen this director, Ruben Östlund, at the Oscars before. So I can absolutely see it cracking in.
Yeah. I have some in my, I have them both in my
That's
10.
good.
Yeah. And it's because I'm just sort of, it's a hedging of my bets. So like put them both in there and see if one lands, so to speak. So we might as well do our 10s, and we can go 10-1. Erik, if you want to start us off, you're 10-1, even though everybody's read them online and everything, we'd like to know what they are. And
am I just doing my whole list?
Do your list. You're 10-1.
All right, 10-1. At 10, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. 9, The Whale. 8, Triangle of Sadness. 7, The Sun. 6, Empire of Light. 5, Everything Everywhere All at Once. 4, Women Talking. 3, Babylon. 2, Bardo, or Killers of the Flower Moon. And 1, The Fabelmans.
Yeah. If Killers of the Flower Moon, like I said, if it comes into play,
big parenthetical there.
All bets are off. Sophia, what are your 10?
Before I say my 10, I just have to say, for Killers of the Flower Moon, my dream scenario for this movie is that everyone thinks it's 2023. Everyone is all set with their movies and what they think is going to win. And then it surprise drops like a Beyonce album on Thanksgiving.
Christmas Day.
Or Christmas Day.
Just be like
that 7-day window.
Yeah, right.
And there it is. Like,
There you
that's
go.
really what I want to see. But
Me too.
right now, I don't have it in my top 10. In my mind, it's moving to 2023, but
Yeah.
I'm not firm on that. He can do anything. My number 10 is Elvis. You guys are going to groan at these, especially with our populist discussion.
It's
My
okay.
number 9 is Top Gun Maverick.
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know. I'm sorry. I buy it right now at this point. I can change my mind.
It's
We
my
can
number
change our
11.
minds.
It's my number 11.
Yeah. My number 8 is The Whale. My number 7 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. My number 6 is The Sun, which we didn't really talk about too much, but I have no idea what to make of it, just that it's the follow-up to The Father, so I'm going to take it seriously.
I think it's going to be good.
My number 5 is Empire of Light. My number 4 is Babylon. My number 3 is Bardo. My number 2 is Women Talking. And my number 1 is The Fabelmans.
Okay. My number 10 is Elvis.
Oh my God.
Yep. I think it's going to get in. I think the Austin Butler of it all, I think people have been talking about it. I think the craft categories, I don't know if Boz will get like the 7 screenplay nominations that is suggested in the poster and trailer. But I do think that it'll play well. Plus you'll have him at roundtable discussions, and I can just see them pushing the whole campaign for him. And if you like him, you like the film, to be fair, regardless of Tom Hanks.
I can't wait to see Baz Luhrmann at roundtables looking like Siegfried and Roy every goddamn time.
God, it would be him on the Hollywood Reporter roundtable would be.
His outfits are like,
insane.
I think I'm a lot. Oh my God. I could never be Baz Luhrmann.
Bedazzled everywhere. I have number 9, Triangle of Sadness. Number 8, I have The Whale. Number 7, I have Babylon. I have it a little bit lower than the both of you. I just because we haven't seen anything from it, and you know, all these other ones we do know are going to festivals, and it's a little sight unseen for that. So maybe it moves up and whatnot. Number 6, I have Decision to Leave. Number 5, I have The Son. I'm a little higher on it than both of you. I think Florian Zeller's gonna. I think I have a lot of stock in that film. I don't think The Father will be a fluke. And number 4, I have Bardo, or however you want to say the long other title. I'm never going to learn. And number 3, I have Empire of Light. I actually, both of you know I'm not a big Sam Mendes fan, but weirdly enough, I'm kind of interested in it, and I have this weird feeling about it.
That's what Olivia Colman will do to people.
That I think that's the case. I think she's
in her Judi Dench era.
You got to look out for him for the standpoint of like 1917 was so close, and Parasite came in and won at the last second. And if it's a good film and it's one celebrating cinema, evidently, and all this stuff too. And a little bit, it seems like it would be a little bit more stripped down for him than this big war epic. So that could be something that benefits him. I have number 2, The Fabelmans. And number 1, I have Women Talking at number 1. I think that I've had this at number 1 since March when I heard about the film. And I think that everything that's happened in this country, like Sophia said, she hit it right on the head, has become more and more relevant. I think the film just has to be really good. I think that ensemble is going to be everywhere. I think the way that, not just Plan B, but the way Francis campaigned with Nomadland too. That movie was very much a movie of its moment, and it just took up everybody emotionally. And I think that this is going to hit right at the right time. I mean, obviously we'll see it in a couple of weeks, Eric, and we'll know for sure. But I can see that cast being everywhere. It's an ensemble piece. I can just see it being something that we all are talking about for months and months and months. I could also see it being polarizing to the point where people don't like it, and it ends up being like a Power of the Dog situation where, people try to find another alternative. But I think that it still proves that it would be a strong contender, much like Power of the Dog too. And yeah, I love Sarah Polley, so I would hope to pray to God that she gets maybe a screenplay nomination or, director nomination, and we keep that trend going of having female directors nominated at the Oscars. More than just one, please. I would love multiple, but yeah. No, Sophia, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, just Sarah Polley's my number 1 in director right now. I feel like maybe I'm willing it to happen, but I feel like, yeah, based on what we've said about this movie, I just like really believe in her. And with Frances McDormand, the thing is that we all joke about how she hates awards and she hates campaigning, but that's what she hates for herself. She loves to push the people that she works with and who she believes in for her collaborators. So I can totally see her lifting up Sarah Polley in the way that she did Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she'll kind of Katharine Hepburn it a little bit of just being like, I don't need to go, and she has a much smaller part than previously thought. So she's not going to really, I don't think, be a part of like, group conversations and stuff like that. No. But she might on her own be a force for it. But I mean, you're absolutely right, Sophia. With so much happening around women's reproductive rights, with midterms happening every year, we always say every year is its own year. And what is happening in the world and in the United States, socially and politically, is always a factor. This is going to be a huge year of that, because midterms, we kind of thought, oh my God, the Republicans are taking over the House and the Senate, and here we go. And that's kind of like moving. That wave is kind of moved a little bit, but
to the middle,
to blue a little.
Yeah.
And the results of those midterms, both what actually happens and any aftermath that happens as a result of the results, people
respond to it.
And that includes the Oscars.
Yeah. No, I mean, some people have said, like, in years past, like that's how a movie like Coda wins, because we're in a more happier time and stuff like that. That's how a movie like Moonlight, I've heard that before, that argument. I don't think, and like sometimes I think that the climate itself just brings out, maybe people to discover a film differently and see it in a different light. I think that, if we weren't living under a different president, I think that, maybe Moonlight doesn't win, maybe Shape of Water doesn't, maybe if we're not in a pandemic, maybe No Man Land does, but they did. And I think that the world around it really affected that in terms of the voters, and it hit them probably more than it would have in other circumstances. But we'll see. I mean, if it's Fabelmans, if it's Women Talking, if it's, whatever, we'll figure it out. All right. Well, now we'll have to see whether if we're right or wrong later this year. And we had a lot of crossover. Usually there's more. It felt like
I think me and Sophia have the same top 4, just in a different order.
Yeah. I think we had like similar top 5.
Interesting.
If just in a different order. But we'll see.
Dangerous.
It's scary. I feel like at this time it's always too, like, there are certain movies that just feel right to me that I just put in as placeholders until I see them. But yeah,
it's called good on paper.
Yeah.
I have 2 movies on my list that have been seen. That's it. 8 have not.
Yeah. I think I have 3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have 1. Oh no, 2. 3, because I guess Triangle of Sadness and Decision to Leave have been seen.
Triangle of Sadness has been seen. That counts.
And then Elvis.
Decision to Leave too.
So there you go. All right, let's do some listener questions, just a couple real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So Kinsey wants to know, from movies that have released already this year, what is a movie that has 0 chance for Best Picture nom that will be in your top 10 at the end of the year? Come on, Kinsey, that's a hard question. The Batman. I love that movie. But it's got a 0% chance. It's not going to happen.
You think that'll really be in your top 10 at the end of the year?
It's at my number 3 right now. There's no way it's moving now. Maybe Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, 0% chance for me after Yang.
Yeah,
like, that's
that ain't happening.
not happening.
Yeah. Those are like the 3 for me.
Yeah.
God.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it at Cannes last year and it carried over.
Yeah.
Right?
It was my favorite movie of last year too. Like, it would have been like 1 or like in my top 3, I would say, but I didn't count it because I knew it was coming out this year. And now it's just been at my number 1 permanently, I feel like. And then Nope, I would say that too. I would love a world where that gets a Best Picture nomination and Jordan Peele gets into director and all of that. But
I would love a world where it's in cinematography.
Oh yeah. Sound, score. Yeah.
Kaluuya, Palmer.
Yep. Everything.
All the above. Cross the line.
Mm-hmm. My choice is obviously Morbius. No, I don't know. This is too hard. Maybe after Yang, maybe Benediction.
Oh, Benediction's so good. Yeah, Marcel the Shell, which she's on.
Oh my God,
I loved that.
I love that movie. I think Eric almost died right there. Did you finally see it, or?
I did.
Okay.
I was
just a mess by the end.
Sobbing.
Never thought I'd cry that hard to an Eagles song being sung by a little show.
Jenny Slate's little baby voice is just too much. I was just like,
Isabella Rossellini. My God.
I want her to be my grandma.
Yeah. Supporting actress for sure. Nicole Ackman wants to know. Oh, hey, Nicole Ackman. Nicole Ackman wants to know, what are you most excited for at TIFF? And she says, in parentheses, there's only one correct answer. Eric.
I think I know what hers is, but there's like so many.
If I was going to TIFF, it would be all the writers at AwardsWatch.com, and it would be all the friends that we make along the way, and movies would be secondary. But of course, Eric's going to pick a movie, so just pick a movie, Eric.
Honestly, I think The Whale is what I am looking forward to the most.
I would, if I was picking a film and not the people that I love, unlike Eric did, I would say Glass Onion, just because I don't know how many theaters are actually going to have it in my area, and to have that as a theater experience, like
that's a good choice.
That would be the one. Sophia.
Yeah. Oh, I do really want to see The Whale, just because I'm so curious what this movie will be like. I just always, even if I don't always love an Aronofsky film, I can tell you exactly where I was and what my experience was like for the first viewing, and usually the only viewing for every single one. So I would say The Whale, and a random like other pick would be Corsage because I love Vicky
Yeah.
Krieps.
Yeah, Corsage.
And
would
I
be
know that's
good.
already screened, but I can't wait to see it. It's very me.
Yeah. Obviously, decision to leave, but I'll see that soon. So
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying before, Netflix, movies playing so many festivals, and that is the best, if not only, chance for most people to see them in theaters. I love seeing Netflix movies in theaters. I love watching people watch them.
yeah,
Mhm.
I love it when the opening credits roll and they see Netflix and go, "Am I in the right theater? Like, what am I? I didn't know it was Netflix." Like,
Yeah,
they
but
freak out a little bit.
They have the different opening for film. It's not a dun dun. It's
No,
the
it's more like
Yeah.
elaborate.
It's very
yeah.
grand.
But it's still
very
like to see.
cinematic.
Yeah, but to see people like react to it, it's a little funny. That's all. Matt St. Clair, final question. Name an actor who received multiple Oscar nominations, but wasn't nominated for what was, in your mind, their best performance. Well, obviously, on her birthday, it's Amy Adams. Like, Amy Adams in Arrival. It's her best performance, period. In the story.
I misread this question.
Yeah. What did you think it was?
I read it as, received multiple nominations and one for the one that they shouldn't have won.
Well, I mean, we could do
I
that too, but
misread it.
yeah, they weren't
That's easy
nominated
for
for
me.
their best performance. That's Sophia, do you have one?
Yeah, I have two actually. My one that I always think of for this is Gene Hackman, who has two Oscars, two really good Oscars
Oh, I know what you're
for
going to
The
say.
French Connection and Unforgiven, but he wasn't nominated for The Conversation, which I think is his best performance.
Yeah.
And I would also say this is a throwback. Shout out to Kevin Jacobson. I would say Greer Garson, who has 7 Oscar nominations. She won for Mrs. Miniver, but her best performance is in a movie called Random Harvest, which came out the same year as Mrs. Miniver. So she couldn't be nominated for that too.
Yeah. Eric, do you have one?
No, because I misread it.
All right. You
But
want
Gene Hackman should have been nominated for The Birdcage as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everybody should have been
I
nominated
agree.
for the Birdcage.
I think that would have been good.
Robert Redford. He's only nominated for The Sting, and that's not his best work as an actor. I would say either The Candidate or All the President's Men. The fact that, or even Butch Cassidy, like the fact that he only has one acting nomination drives me bonkers every single day of my life. So
yeah.
But he won for The Right Thing when he won Best
Did he,
Director
though?
for Ordinary People. Mhm.
Did he though?
Yeah. I'll win that fight every time.
No,
I love
okay.
it.
All right.
I love that.
Sure he did. I'm just happy he has an Oscar. Let's just say that. Competitive one. Even though honoraries count too.
Oh, can I say like Reese Witherspoon for election, even though that would have been before her?
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fair. She wasn't nominated for it.
No.
And
And
she
it's
won.
better. It's certainly better than what she won for.
Yeah, that's true.
And better than
that's true.
Wild.
Oh,
Just for me. Just for me.
I
For
like
me,
Wild.
For me. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just think election's better.
yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thing to say. She's better in Legally Blonde too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an iconic film. Oh, I'm trying to think. And anybody else? Anyone else you guys can think of?
Rachel McAdams for Mean Girls.
Work.
That just popped into my head.
Amanda Seyfried for Mean Girls. How about that too?
Oh my God.
And Tell the Weather. Oh God, trying to think. It's hard. It's hard because a lot of them get nominated for some of their best stuff. Oh,
I also think I have more answers for like people who should have been nominated but who never have.
well,
Like
we can
crazy.
Just,
There's definitely
couple?
a lot of that.
do you have a couple?
Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
That's always my go-to. Speaking of
For-
ordinary people.
Yeah, like how
can't-
the hell everyone else was nominated. I saw that the other day because I was watching an old Inside the Actor Studio and they were talking about Ordinary People, and I went back to the nominations. I was like, how is Sutherland not nominated for that? Everybody else was.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
It's
No.
gross.
No, yeah. Eric, you got any more, or are you just piddling over there?
No, I just started
Okay.
looking around and stuff, and I was gonna be like, "Wow, wait a minute, what about like oh yeah, Meryl Streep and Death Becomes Her." I mean, she has 21 nominations, but you know what? It would be kind of great if she had gotten in for more comedy.
No, that's
Mhm.
true. Yeah, well, she's great. Well, I mean, she's Meryl Streep. I don't have to say
She should have been in for The Hours too.
Mm-hmm.
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 I was thinking she should have talk about something she should have won for her third one should have been for. I always think Bridges of Madison County. I always think
that is her best performance. It's her best nomination.
Yep.
And there is no more discussion for me.
Better than the goddamn Iron Lady, I'll tell you that.
I mean, come on.
Oh, what a bad movie. All right. I think we're exhausted all avenues today. We've gone pretty longer than we thought we were going to. So, Sophia, can you tell everybody on the internet where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim, letterboxed at the same username, just without the underscore. You can find my podcast, Oscar Wilde. We release episodes every Thursday. We have one coming out this week on the red shoes and all that jazz. So a little performance dance themed episode, which I'm very excited for. And we just launched our Patreon, which I'm very excited for. We are doing a bonus series on the films of Bennifer. So Ben Affleck and now Jennifer Affleck celebrating their new marriage and their renaissance. So our first episode will be on Geely and Jersey Girl. And let me tell you, we had a time.
Oh my God. I cannot wait to hear that. I cannot wait to hear that. Yes. Go sign up on that Patreon, patreon.com/Oscar Wilde, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct.
With no E.
No E. No E. Yes, exactly. Otherwise the dog will bark at you.
I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay. Erik, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, but I will also echo, please go and subscribe to the Oscar Wilde Patreon. You can find me at AwardsWatch.com and at Twitter at awards_watch. And yes, be on the lookout for Telluride dispatches, TIFF dispatches, so much happening. In
Venice dispatches.
Venice. Oh my God. And
we got it all covered.
The goddamn Emmys.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy time, so you're not going to want to miss all the coverage. We have tons of great writers that are going to be covering Venice, Telluride, TIFF, New York, regional festivals. We got it all covered this year. You can find my work here at AwardsWatch and Session Film Playlist. Film Speaking, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade 77. Next episode will be episode 150. We will be doing our Emmy predictions, me, Tyler, and Erik. And then after that, we might have a little something special with me and Erik just doing like a 30-minute podcast live from Telluride. That might just be it, that what we do that week. And we'll see.
Fun.
I know. It'll be a lot of fun, but we'll try to have like a normal podcast in between TIFF and Telluride so that we can have everybody on or whatnot. We'll try to figure it all out. But until then, we will see you all next time.